Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the vMix Funtime live show, the monthly live stream here at vMix HQ. vMix is live streaming software, and we're using that very software to live stream the vMix Funtime live show today. Can you believe it?
Amazing. It's truly amazing.
We've done it again.
We have done it again. Yes, so we're up to March 2025.
Yep.
It's come about pretty quickly, and this is a slightly earlier show this month compared to how we would typically do it. That is because we're trying to sort of even them out a little bit because we're likely to have quite an early show next month. So, yep.
Not that it really matters. There's no rhyme or reason to the show.
Exactly.
It's more like, hey, what month is it? Oh, it's near the end of the month. Maybe we should do a live stream. So what we do is we send this out to our YouTube page. We also have it on our website. This is the live version. You can join us before the show and after the show, and then we record the actual show for YouTube. So if you want to watch all of the boring nonsense before and after, you can watch us live. We sometimes have a giveaway and that type of things if you want to do it live. Sometimes people complain that we don't have the whole show up on our site, but we just prefer to do it this way. So we kind of have the actual information. I get a little bit frustrated sometimes when it's an 8-hour stream and there's 20 minutes of content. So not that there's much content in our 30-minute show, but anyway.
Look, if you have anything that you want to share with us throughout the live show, please do. Just pop it into the comments, and we will have a Q&A section at the end where we can answer some of your pressing questions and your total nonsense. So let's have a look at the show setup for today. It is fairly typical for us. We have got our Deity S Mic 2s. They are fed directly into our Blackmagic Ursa Mini G2, which is our camera that you were seeing before. I'm producing the show from a Stream Deck XL. Tim is bringing our social comments that you'll see at the end of the show in using a Microsoft Surface and the vMix social plugin. And we've got our production PC, which is running vMix. It's got an i9, an RTX 4080 graphics card, and a few other bits and pieces. We're going out to YouTube at ultra low latency. We're doing that in AV1 at 1080p, 5994 at 7 megabits a second. All right, and that is the entire show setup once again. For those of you that are new, for those that have been around for a little while, that is a fairly typical one for us. Let's go to our first thing, which is news.
All right, so we're going to do some news. Heath has decided that he wants to. I think you might need to fix up the lens on that one. But Heath has decided that he wants to do some vlogging, some behind the scenes of the show for some reason. So that's what he's going to be doing in various periods throughout the show today.
There we go. That's what's wrong.
You need to fix.
Thank you. Better.
That's why it's not working for him. Anyway, so we're in the news section. I don't know why he's doing this, but he is. So we have. Should you buy a 50XX card? If you can see behind me, that's where we post the news thing. So we send out images to a Bird Dog Play that then display on our very cheap TV monitor. And for those that watched last month, we used a PTZ camera, a Z cam. I'm not going to say Z because people got upset. Z cam camera, PTZ Z cam, and you could actually see the brand of the television last month, but you can't this month. So we're not going to divulge which brand that was. You can watch last month's for...
It is not a premium brand, we'll say that.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, so I bought a 5070.
Did you?
I did.
Whoa.
I did. Much to the chagrin of everybody in the office.
Yeah.
It's just the empty box, but this is the box
very much
for
on
it.
your own.
So basically, the reason that I did, we decided, well, I decided personally that we should have one in the office. When they first launched, you couldn't buy them, like across the board, 50, 70s, 70 Ti's, 80s, 90s, whatever. I was told that I should buy a 5090. I looked at the price recently and it was $7,300 Australian. And I said, no, that's ridiculous. Unless it provides the most groundbreaking graphics changes and encoding changes, it's not worth buying. So we don't have one of those.
But you also can't buy them.
Oh yeah, even if you had 7,300 Australian dollars, you could not purchase one.
No.
So, yeah, that's a bit of a pain.
But you've put it into your machine, haven't you?
I chucked it in my computer, put in the drivers. Haven't had any issues with it so far. Should you buy one? I think there's much better value in some of the other cards, especially at the price points with the 4070 Ti Super. I think that's probably a good sweet spot, just across the board comparing everything. I'm going to continue to test mine out to make sure that it's all good, but I went from a 4060 Ti to this one. I don't think there's a great deal of difference.
You went from a 4070 Ti.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah. 4070 Ti to the
so
5070. I know the numbers and the amount of TIs and supers and everything. It is pretty insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4070 Ti.
So I put that in mind. I actually got the. This is not a true representation of the size. Right here. Here it is.
It's so little.
So I was gonna do a title that says not a true representation of size.
I think it's a very cute size.
Yeah.
But it somewhere on the box it says something, doesn't it?
Like I don't know whether it actually does on this one.
NVIDIA SFF.
Yeah. So this is SFF approved. So small form factor approved, meaning that it is considerably smaller than what I had in mind. So I had a full size 4070 Ti, and if you have a look at our Blue Sky account, I posted a photo, and yeah, it is considerably smaller, which is good, but it's how it should be. I don't know what sort of sacrifices you're making with a small form factor version, but everything kind of seemed to be the same. But again, we'll find out, and it's much lighter. It is narrower. It is all the dimensions are smaller, basically. So,
unfortunately, it is still, I think, 2.5 slots thick or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty chunky. It'd be nice if it was 2 slots thick.
But it's not as like you can fit it in
as big as
a lot more places than the other ones.
Funnily enough, it got picked up because you had SFF. It got picked up by some socials as, what was it?
Science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah, so automatically posted on science fiction and fantasy.
They've got all these things about books and things, and then there's my post about SFF graphics cards, which
I thought that was pretty funny.
Makes no sense whatsoever. No. So should you buy one? Probably not, but hold on and I'll continue to test this 5070 and see if it's even, we don't think that there's remotely enough gain to update, really.
I am definitely interested in the 5090, and so like Tim,
we'll take that out of your salary.
Nobody in the office agreed that Tim should get this except for Tim. No one in the office agrees that we should get a 5090 either except for me. We all have different opinions here, but the 5090 is interesting because it's got 3 encoding chips instead of 2 or 1, and it's got a huge memory bandwidth, and it's pretty fast, and it's got a lot of specs that are pretty amazing. However, it, as Tim says, is insanely expensive. So
you could literally buy 2 other computers.
The 10 or 15, maybe 20% gains you might achieve for 4 times the price of a 40 series that's very, very good. It just doesn't stack up. Yeah. But for some people where budget isn't quite as significant, maybe it's the sort of thing that people might want to look at. If you're running a 5090 or even any of the 50 series, let us know in the comments. I'm curious how it's going for you. Yeah, we weren't sure
because we couldn't get them.
No.
And it was I was just perusing the sites, and then somebody briefly mentioned an issue with some sort of newer like the 50 version, that they patched pretty quickly. But I thought I would get one just so we have it in-house, so that when someone does say, do you have a 50 series card? I'm like, yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. So.
There was a driver issue at one moment that we heard about from some users, but updates seem to have overcome those. So if you are experiencing any issues with the 50 series cards, just try updating the NVIDIA drivers. That might help.
Anyway, that's my 50 series card
Very
rent.
good. All right. Next is NAB Show. Or that's what that says, I think. It's a bit of a blurry logo in the background, but we've got the NAB Show coming up in early April. It is from the 6th to the 9th, I believe, and it's in Las Vegas. We are in the South Hall, which is down the bottom there in South Lower. We're at booth SL2323, so nice and easy to remember. And unfortunately, this year, the South Hall is pretty far away from the North Hall and the West Hall. So yeah, you're going to probably end up spending a day or two in the South Hall before you plan to go the other way, I imagine, because they're miles apart with the Central Hall currently out. So that's what's going on at NAB. Hope to see you there if you are able to come and say hi.
Is anyone going? Just as a,
Let us know in the comments.
curiosity.
Yeah. Who's coming?
Does anyone go to these things? And
Will be. We'll both be there.
Do you get anything from them, like these trade shows?
Apart from mouse pads, we know that. We know that
do
you get
you-
mouse pads.
What's your main motivation for going to trade shows? Is it because work's paying for it and you get a free trip to Vegas? Is it for the networking, or is it for actually seeing products that are being announced but won't be delivered in 6 months? So let us know which one of those you are.
Well, the difference between some companies and us is we don't announce features that aren't pretty much there. Like, certainly at NAB, we don't tend to announce new features. So.
Someone asked what's going on with Central Hall. Yeah, renovations.
Yeah.
So they did South Hall 2 years ago, but they're also renovating that again next year. So Central's being renovated. North was renovated last 2 years. So that'll be all new now. Central's being done, and then South's getting done again for some reason. So yeah, that's why.
Anyway, we hope to see you. If you can come, great. And the last bit of news is about OBSBOT again. These guys are constantly pumping out new cameras. I thought I would just show you the latest one. So it is called the Tail 2. They sent us an early release of it. But before I show it to you, I'm going to show you their previous products so that you can kind of get an idea of scale and stuff. So this is their Tiny 2 Lite. So this is when they were doing like the little webcams and things like that. They've got their next model up, which is the Tail Air, which is a bigger unit, battery powered, so it can run completely wirelessly. NDI, you can do power over Ethernet with an adapter, and it had HDMI out, but it was a micro HDMI. So we've got things like power over Ethernet with an adapter and micro HDMI. It's good, but it's not great. So with their latest model, which is the Tail 2, which I'm going to try and grab carefully because it is wired in right now, it's bigger. It is quite a bit bigger. Compared to the Tail 2, for instance, there's your size differences. Sorry, it's not totally in focus, everybody, but I can't really move it any further. So the Tail 2 is quite large, but it has, on the back, hopefully you can see, we've got a full-size HDMI here plugged in. We've got SDI, and we've got power over Ethernet coming in right there without an adapter or anything. Has a really big battery, so they claim at 1080-60 resolution and frame rate, you can achieve, what was it? You can achieve about 3.5 hours of battery life, which I think is pretty good. You know, that's getting pretty good coverage for most sports. So I think that's pretty good. And I imagine you could also plug in a battery pack. No promises there. I've never tested that.
Should have tried that.
Should have, but we've only just gotten it. We've only just started testing it, by the way. So
Can we go get one?
Sorry, a battery pack?
Is that one fully charged?
No.
Remember we bought that. Pretty good one, right?
Yeah, we do have a pretty good one. I mean, you can if you... I think that's risky.
Is it PoE at the moment?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. But it's got a battery in it, so you can unplug it. It's no big deal. But anyway, I just thought I'd quickly show you adding it into vMix. So what I've also got is an AVA media capture device to bring it in over HDMI. The reason I'm doing HDMI is the camera has the capability of doing NDI-HX and SRT and RTSP all at high resolution and frame rate. We're talking 4K 60 stuff. And then the SDI cable is only 3G. And if you don't know what that means, it means you're topping out at 1080p 60. That's as much data as it will transport. So we're using HDMI because we're going to get the best quality. We're going to get 4K 60 without any real major compression or anything like that, compared to doing it over Ethernet, where you do have to compress it a fair bit. That being said, I'll show you how this works. I'm going to go into a laptop where here we go. Hopefully you can see that now. And I'm going to go to add input. I'm going to go to camera because this is an HDMI device coming in through that Ava Media Live Gamer Ultra 2.1. And it's already set up at my resolution and frame rate that I'm looking for. And because this is an Ava Media USB capture device, USB tends to top out with its video format, has a bandwidth limitation. So it tops out at a point where you can't use the high quality video format. So you've got to drop it just a tiny bit to NV12. So I'm clicking on NV12, I'm clicking OK, and bringing this camera in. And there we go. I'll pop it up on there so that you can see it. And actually what I'll do is cut it and full screen it so that you guys can all see it at full size. So that's the video quality. Now you will notice that there's an audio delay, and it's because I'm piping video through multiple systems to get out to here, but we're using the original audio from our studio. So sorry about that. That's not going to look great right now, but I just thought I'd quickly show you the difference between a camera like this and our high-end studio camera. So you can decide for yourself whether you think that quality is not too bad or maybe you don't like it. So here's the OBSBOT Tail 2, and then this is our studio camera. So we definitely get a little bit more talent separation. By that I mean the background is a little bit blurrier.
A little bit.
But at the same time, I have got the camera set up in a different location, so that's worth considering. So I'm going to take it back to the OBSBOT so you can see that again. Here's the quality once again. So yeah, decide for yourself whether you think something like that might be a suitable solution for you. Let's go back to there. Yeah, I earned it. Bruh. Yeah. I just pressed the wrong button on our setup. But anyway, decide for yourself whether you think it's something that you might be interested in looking at. It is a slightly more expensive camera, but compared to regular PTZ cameras out there, or PTZ cameras if I'm speaking Australian, it's not too expensive. So decide for yourself. I think they're now available, or if they're not, they will be in the next few days or weeks. So there we go, that's that. Let's shoot straight into Q&A.
It's time for Q&A.
What's it going to be?
Is it
Hello,
be?
Bangladesh.
Hello, Bangladesh.
I'm guessing that's being directed to the entire...
All of
country.
Bangladesh and beyond. Does the OBSBOT zoom? Yes, it does. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. So the Tail 2 is the first OBSBOT to offer some optical zoom. So it can optically zoom, I think it's 3 times or maybe even 5 times. I'm sorry, I should have remembered that. But it also has, because it's got a 4K sensor and can run at 1080, and a lot of people will probably use it at 1080. You've got that zoom as well, so no quality losses. Apparently achieving what they call a hybrid zoom of 12 times, or maybe even, oh gee. Apologies for not remembering the exact stats, but it could be 12 or it could be 16 times. So you do have a fair bit of zoom range, which is handy. It has some pretty good auto tracking as well. I've not tested it myself, I've just seen some footage of it. And it looks okay. It looks okay. So there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube now as this product's getting tested more and more by, I guess, influencers. We don't fall in that category. We're just hardware testers.
Kickbacks, yeah.
We're just hardware testers, so we don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. Yep.
Hello from Austria, South
hello from
Florida.
Austria.
This is a very good idea. We should sublet the show. I think that's a good
Oh, yeah.
idea, actually.
Yeah.
It could be like the
Give me
vMix
some
Fun Time
details.
live show brought to you by someone else.
Look, we
Featuring
we
someone
do
else.
end up talking about OBSBOT a little bit, but that is because they are just pumping cameras out so fast compared to pretty much anyone else right now. You'd be lucky to see a camera a year from, or you know, a camera every couple of years from most providers, but these guys are doing them every 6
We got a
months.
fancy camera coming for NAB for the booth.
We've got a series of cameras lined
We
up
will,
for NAB.
for those that joined us prior to the show, with the giveaway, we'll email them after the show. So just look out for an email. It's too hard to log into this computer to run the thing.
Good luck with your call out. I hope it's not anything serious.
1080.
1080. No, great. Like, that's a very powerful graphics card. It genuinely is. The limitations being you don't have access to resizable bar, AV1. I'm not sure whether you can do HEVC or, you know, H.265.
I think that started with the 20.
Yeah.
cards, yeah.
And you don't have an NVIDIA broadcast either, so I don't know if anybody actually uses it in vMix, but it is possible to sort of pipe your feed through NVIDIA broadcast and take advantage of some of their features. Do AMD video cards work well with vMix? Not really, no. The reason is we've focused heavily on NVENC, which is NVIDIA's encoding capabilities, and AMD's, in our opinion, are not adequate for good encoding, and so vMix is based around NVIDIA graphics. You can certainly look at AMD for your motherboard and the likes of that, and like your motherboard CPU combination, but for GPU, stick to NVIDIA. Will you be sharing any new news at NAB? Typically, NAB is where we talk about the latest version of vMix because it's been out for a month or two. And so we'll be mostly focused on vMix 28 this time around. That's what I can share.
Will be there Saturday to Wednesday. We'll drop by Will and say hello.
Come by, Will. That is a confusing sentence. Will be there.
Where do you research? I mean, it's a good spot to see everything all at once.
Yep, you get just inundated with information.
Yeah, so we were discussing it before about whether it's, you know, a good place to be to look at these new products that may or may not exist. But if you have the option, and obviously you can get hands-on with a heap of different stuff. I mean, if you've got a local camera shop or something, you can go down there and you can kind of be hands-on maybe with a couple of different brands or models. But I suppose that if you go to NAB, you can see everything all at once. And I guess you could probably make a decision based on that. Yeah, so interesting to see why people go.
You'll be able to get hands-on with vMix as well, I guess.
Yep.
Which
great.
The last couple of shows we've sort of had a different setup, so it will be a slightly different booth design this year for those at NAB.
Yep.
What do we got? Is Heath using an ancient Microsoft keyboard with the awful mushy keys? Yes, indeed I am. Yep, it is a classic old
Sometimes
Microsoft
you
keyboard.
just end up with equipment that just keeps going along with you, and I think this is probably the same keyboard that we had for the studio last office that we had. So
it is super old.
it just kind of moves along.
Yeah. But it has been really solid. So we have it wirelessly going to a USB dongle, which then runs through some stuff back to our PC, which is outside of the studio. But so it's a little bit of a complex workflow for a keyboard, but it is solid. So
Can you get
like
5060s? Is that a thing?
no, I don't think the 5060 is out yet. If it is coming, I'm not sure. What I have noticed is NVIDIA do tend to get rid of the lower end models. So, for instance, there was no 4050 released. There was in laptops, but there wasn't in desktop PC cards. So who knows if we're going to see a 5060? I would bet that we won't see a 5050, but I wonder if we won't see a 5060 either.
Yes, you
Can I
can
use Xbox controllers?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've got a video that goes through that to some degree.
And I think there's a preset in there. So if you just load it up,
Absolutely,
it should
yeah.
be right to
Let me quickly show you. I'll quickly show you what the preset looks like.
risky.
Let's go and cut into the to this. We're going to settings. Again, I'll do this just to cover my mouth so that the sync issues aren't too bad. Okay, and if we go down to shortcuts and have a look at our templates for shortcuts, down along here, we've got, help me find it.
Maybe there's not one there.
I'm going to work through them all.
Yeah, that's that one, fifth one down
There it is. Sorry, apologies, it took so long to find. So yes, we can apply that. Yep. And now I've got a bunch of shortcuts all linked to a standard Xbox controller. So yeah, give that a go. Give that a go. See how you go with it.
Yeah.
I bet that there were a bunch of people watching just then going, it's right there. It's right there. Just click on the Xbox controller. Oh, I can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, I think the HEVC stuff came in the 20 series cards, even though the
RTX.
1650 was probably after the 20 series cards on release date.
Was it?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay. But it didn't get the RTX
No.
labeling for ray tracing and all those things. So not that we use ray tracing. Does vMix run smoothly on Windows 11 now? Still currently holding off on Windows 10 till the updates run out? Yes, vMix runs really smoothly on Windows 11, provided you're using a modern vMix. So vMix 24 has some known audio issues with Windows 11 24H2, which is their latest Windows 11. So bear that in mind. If you're using 24, you will have to update, and it's likely you'll have to pay a $60 fee to do that to get the latest version of vMix.
Might
Just
double.
letting you know, which will not double.
In the second year. And the third,
That won't make any sense because that was pre-show. So
that's the whole point. So yeah, potentially we should have looked into it a little bit more. I didn't go through the full article, but somebody in our chat was saying that it's $60 for the first year, then potentially $120 for the next year, and then it increases again for the third year, 3-year maximum for Windows 10. But I'm assuming it's just going to be security updates for it. No new features or anything like that.
So if you're running a modern version of vMix within the last few years, then we would urge you to update to Windows 11.
Basically, all of our laptops have been on Windows 11 for 3-4 years now. It's been a long time. So, and they all run vMix fine for all of our testing, our travel, and all of our trade shows and stuff. All of our trade shows have been running on Windows 11 since COVID. So, no sort of major issues at the moment. There were a few bugs here and there with audio a few years back, which have been sort of ironed out. Again, it's one of these things where they make updates to things for no real good reason, certain updates. And they've changed menus and things like that, but nothing has interfered too much with vMix. And it was a 5070, so that would work fine. But yeah, if that's the card that you have access to, I would say that you're probably going to get better value for money with a 40 series card as opposed to getting a 5070. But depending on what you have access to and all that kind of thing is up to you, I guess. Let's just do a quick run of these ones.
If you want to compare the performance of a 50 series with a 40 series, the things that vMix benefit from are the CUDA cores, sometimes called shader cores. So the number of CUDA cores, you want to look at that. You want to look at the memory bandwidth, and you want to have a look at just the overall base clock speed. So if you can look at those three things and compare them between cards, you'll sort of get a gauge on what's the best value for you at the time.
This card here.
Not to scale.
Not to
scale. Yeah.
The answer to this is no. vMix won't have NDI HX3 support.
No. No.
But
HX generally won't be available in vMix. We output in full NDI. What you can do though is you can use NDI Bridge, which is one of NDI Tools features. It's free from NewTek, or what do you call them now? VizRT. So you grab NDI Tools and you can use NDI Bridge in something called local mode. And what that will do is it will take all of the NDI sources, including anything coming out of vMix at full NDI, and then, excuse me, and then you can convert it to NDI-HX. So that's an option.
Set fade shortcut works great. Excellent. Any AI integration in vMix? No.
No.
What do you want? What do you want your computer to do?
And specifically, like, how perfect does it have to be? So would a 70% hit rate be good for your AI feature?
Do you want all of your data being sent to a cloud somewhere and then sent back to vMix in real time? Let us know.
So one of the limitations of AI is it uses resources, and particularly graphics resources. And so we do need to be careful that we're not taking those resources away from your vMix production that is working very hard to keep every frame in sync and without dropping any of them, every video frame. So yes.
We don't have a sneak peek of mouse pads. If you go back a TV image, technically speaking, that was part of one of the mouse pads. So Heath can work on that.
Okay. I am going back.
This is exactly right. Now, I just love the phrasing. So the third from the one with the turkey in it.
This one?
Yeah.
There we go.
So that's a sneak peek of one of the mouse pads. That's a brush turkey, an Australian brush turkey.
Not that you can see it.
For some reason is in. Well, now it's faded.
And it's gone.
But it's it's set in a rainforest type scene. Yeah, with a brush turkey and a whipbird and all sorts of stuff in there. So that's one of them. We have quite a few because I made a new character, a mouse pad that is sort of the time. So we have to make it. Nobody wanted it, but we had to make it because it would have been a waste otherwise. So there's going to be a very limited amount of those ones because it's of the time. And that sounds bad. Like, when people talk about old movies and things, they say it was very of the time. You have to ignore some of the things they say. And it's not like that. There's nothing bad about it. Anyway, it's my end of my rant. Someone just...
I'm not sure I understand this one. So...
Well, we integrate AI in vMix in the Funtime Live Show, in our videos.
I guess, okay, yes,
in our incredible songs that we make.
If you tune into this live, you get access to some intro videos and outro videos that are not shown on anything else. And so you're only going to catch that if you actually catch us live, and they are mostly AI generated.
Oh, no, the videos aren't. The audio is.
Yes, I knew somebody would be in that boat going, it's right there. It's right there. What are you doing?
So this is... It's a bit of a tough one when it comes to like minimum recommendations. We did look at that. I don't know whether we updated it, but we did look at changing some of these recently. So after the show, we'll take another look at it to see if there was any potential. I think we baselined the GPU, but I can't remember about the other stuff. Ideally, take a look at the different reference systems. Those builds will put you in a good light as to HD cameras, replay, and everything. So look at the low end one of those. That's probably a good way to go. That's probably, depending on what you're trying to do. But even if it's a 1 or 2 camera and you maybe look at expanding in the future using is it Ruby? Is that the base one? Or Opal?
Opal's the base.
Yeah, looking at that one might be a good way to go. That'll kind of give you overhead in the future. I don't know how expensive that would be to put together, but hopefully it's yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let's just... I think that'll about do for now. And then we have a post show, so we'll stick around. So any more questions and stuff that we go through, we'll take a look at them and go from there. So if you want to wipe out the social and
sure, yeah,
so you can do a full goodbye,
farewell,
live life,
thanks for
live
coming.
stream.
Live, laugh, live stream.
You can't really
Yes.
see it, but it's
Yeah.
he's painting the picture in it. Anyway,
Got Magnus the Magnificent.
yeah, he
What a
forgot
guy.
his shirt,
Yeah.
so he had to use one that was in his car, his BYD. So
All right, see ya. Catch you next month.
Thanks for watching. We gotta go. This has been the vMix Fun Time Live Show.